everybody, it's Michelle, and you may remember my Beebeecraft unboxing video from last weekend where I had all of these beautiful springy rainbow colored supplies that I showed you guys with my rainbow cording and the beads. We had the butterflies, and I promised you guys some videos this weekend of projects using those. And we're going to be making some decorated clips for our planners and journals today using those jumbo paper clips that I just thought were so much fun. I've made a few examples here to show you guys at the start. We will make some more like these, as well as some other ideas that I want to show you guys as well. And this may be my favorite one so far, with that sheer organza ribbon topper and the butterfly on there. I think that's a lot of fun. And then we've got ribbon like that on this one, tied with some little Shambhala bead dangles. And then we've got just a bow with a pretty little rhinestone center. And there is so much more that you guys can do with these. Really, it's just about having fun and decorating, just to make your planners and journals so much more fun. So I think first I'll show you guys the butterfly one. That is probably the simplest one. And I'm going to take one of my jumbo paper clips, or I guess that's more of a giant paper clip than jumbo even. And I'm going to choose yellow because this time I think I'm going to use this butterfly here that's orange and green with a little hint of a yellow highlight there in the middle, and I think that will be so pretty attached to that. And I'm using my organza ribbon, but to save time in the video so we can make more clips today, I went ahead and cut some ribbon, and I just cut these into about 6-inch strips. And I'm going to be using 2 of those on my clip, and I'm just going to layer the 2 together, fold them in half, and that makes a loop. And we're just going to put this loop through like we would on gift tags or something like that. We're going to put it through and then put those ends through our loop. And just pull those ends. You don't want to grab a hold of the very tip and pull too much, because you're going to sort of weaken the integrity of that shear. It's very delicate. So I'm pulling down here at the base of my loop there. And then I'm just going to see if I can separate them. And now I'm just going to take my scissors and cut a little ribbon tail end on each of those. And to do that, I'm just folding it in half like this. And from the 2 edges here, I'm going to just cut an angle downward toward the folded center. And then that gives us that ribbon tail design. I may want to angle that a little bit steeper for more of a ribbon look there. And for the video today, I'm going to try to move sort of quickly so that we can get a lot of different options of these for you guys today, and show you a few different ideas that I came up with. But when you're doing these on your own and you've got a little more time, you may want to take a little bit of glue, maybe some Mod Podge or triple thick or something like that on the end of your finger, and just touch it to that cut edge so it won't fray on you. And like I told you guys in my last video, these are magnets on the back, and you can put them to something magnetic if you want to, but for this case I'm just using them to decorate my clips, and I'm just going to hot glue it right on. So I'm going to fan my ribbons out the way I want them there. I'm going to bring in my hot glue gun and just put a little dot right there on my clip and just stick my butterfly right on there. Actually, I think my little ribbon tails have come out kind of shorter than the ones I had here. So this was about 6-inch ribbons that I started out with. So you can cut them to 7 or 8 or whatever you want. So you've got some extra room to work. And you can always cut them down if you want them shorter. But to start off with a little extra length is always a good idea. And that hot glue is a very quick hold. But if you want a little stronger hold, you can use something like the Loctite glue or even E6000 if you've got more time to allow for that to dry. With E6000, you really want to give it probably a full 24 hours before you put it into use. So for the bow, really simple. I'm going to use a blue clip for that. Oh, and another thing I forgot to mention to you guys, whatever you do for your decoration, be sure to do it on the end that has 1 loop, not the end that has 2. Because if you do that, you're going to get yourself messed up. Let me show you an example here on my little composition book. When you put that clip onto the page, you're going to split the 2 loops here at the bottom to hold the pages in between. So your decoration should be up here at the top. If you decorate this end, it's not going to have anything to slide into there to clip onto the pages. So just keep that in mind and be sure you're decorating the end with only 1 loop. Okay, so we're going to do the bow. Super simple. Again, I'm using 2 6-inch strips of my organza ribbon. And I know that it's going to work out okay for me this time with my length because I'm not taking up the extra space of forming that loop and doubling it through. I'm just going to hold my ribbons like this and fold them in half. Feed that one end through, just straight through like that. And this time I'm going to hold it on with some little rubber bands. And I've got a package here that I put into a baggie. And these are just some multicolored rubber hair bands that I got, I think, at Dollar Tree a long time ago. And they last forever. It seems like almost an endless bag of bands there. So I'm just going to gather that up and wrap my little band around enough times until it's going to hold tightly for me. 4, 5, and that's 6 times around. I think that should do well enough. And another tip for you guys, if you want to do this, you can take your Loctite glue, put it onto the very middle of that curve there in your paper clip and just slide that right back up on it, and that'll help hold that in place for you. I really like that because I don't like my decorations kind of sliding around and moving on me. I've seen some videos recently where they put little bead dangles on the end, and I'm currently trying to work on something to kind of work the bugs out of that type of thing. Because if you put a jump ring on here with a beaded dangle, it's just going to slide all the way around. It's going to end up down at the bottom. You're going to lose track with it like that, and I'm trying to figure out a way that we could keep that still in one place. And I'll make a video on that for you guys if I figure out how to do that. If you've got any ideas, you can leave me a comment below. I would love to hear your suggestions. Okay, so I've got my 2 ribbons on there. That gives me 4 tails for a nice fluffy ribbon look. And then I'm going to make my bow. And when I do that, I want to use from the ribbon straight off of my spool. That way I know I'll have enough. So I'm just going to go ahead and take 2 loops, tie them around together, and try to make a bow. And this way I don't have to cut away too much excess, and I won't have to really fool around with a tiny little strip of ribbon either, trying to tie it into a bow. So that way I can work with it, get it the size I want. Then when I go to trim it up, I'm only going to cut away waste material on this one end. I can cut it right to length on the other side, and the rest is still attached to my spool. So that saves a little bit of waste, and I can get more mileage out of my ribbon. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this down. Cut that one off a little bit. We'll probably trim again and get it into a nicer little compact bow sort of shape. And now for this one, I am just going to use the Loctite glue because I just cannot get it to work if I use hot glue on a rubber band. Even if I give it a second to cool first and then pop it on there, it always seems to melt my rubber band. It snaps in two and comes loose. So I'm going to learn from my past mistakes, and I'm going to use Loctite glue for this one. And I'm just going to put a dot of that right onto my rubber band, and then I can just stick my bow right on there, and it sticks pretty much instantly. And for the jewel in the center, I wanted to show you guys this before. I found the most beautiful little sticky back rhinestones at Dollar Tree, and I had been having the problem of wanting some of those that are on the strip, and these are on one whole strip of adhesive, and I could hardly ever find those in the Dollar Tree that's closest to me. And a lot of the solid color ones I still cannot find in that Dollar Tree, but they did have these, and they have the AB coating on them, so they reflect all of those rainbow sort of colors. And I was so happy to find that, even if I don't have the solid colors. So I hope you guys can find these in your Dollar Tree. And like I said, I've been longing for some of these that were on a strip like that, so I could use them in one long strip. And this project just uses the one to kind of decorate the middle of my bow. But I am going to try to find a use for these where I can utilize that full strip. I really think that is so handy. And I've been looking for some of those for a long time. So I just put another dot of some more of my Loctite glue on the center of my bow, and I'm just going to pop that little jewel right on there and hold it for a couple of seconds. And there you have a little bling center for your bow. And now we can just trim up our ends, and our bow clip is finished. I'm just going to do the little ribbon tails again. I love those ends. Like I said, you can touch these up with a little bit of glue on the tips to keep them from fraying, but that angled cut when you do that ribbon end sort of design there kind of helps keep it from fraying a little bit anyway, because it is on a bias, which is why things that are trimmed with pinking shears, you know, that cut the little zigzags, that keeps it from fraying, because every cut is on an angle. And you guys can see I'm cutting off quite a bit here, cutting those quite a bit shorter. But like I said, it's better to start out with them a little too long so you can cut them down than to start with them too short, because you can't add it back. You'd have to start all over if you did that. So there is our bow clip ready to go. Okay, so now we'll do the one with the little Shambhala bead dangles. And that was super simple as well. And we're going to use a white clip this time, I think. And I've got a couple more 6-inch strips. And again, if you're looping it through itself over here, you may want to start with them a little longer. But I'm going to do my rubber band trick again, so I think these will be fine for that. And just loop it straight through. Again, making sure that you're on the single looped end of your clip. And then when I'm getting a rubber band for that, I just kind of pick one, since I have this rainbow mix I just pick one that kind of matches the color that's most prominent right there where the band is going to be. And that way it'll kind of blend in and not stand out too bad. But with these and all these rainbow colors, I don't think that would be a problem if your color stood out anyway. That's the point of these. They're just so colorful and beautiful. I just love them. Okay, so now fan those out a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and slide it to the side and put some of my Loctite glue and hold my ribbon in place there. And wipe away if you get any kind of smushing out there. That way it won't show in the end and you won't have a clump. And that is already set up. Okay, and since I used a green rubber band, I'm going to get a piece of string. Might have to have a little bit of waste in doing this, but I want to be able to get green in the center of the part that I'm using. And I'm going to cut this down to about 6 inches. And I'm cutting from both ends to do that because I want to make sure that it's green in the middle, which you don't have to do. It's not that big of a deal. Okay, but the first thing I want to do is tie a knot in one end. And I'm going to go ahead and make that a double knot because that's going to be what stops our bead. And I want to make sure that I work that all the way down to the end of my cord. And then I'm going to put on my 2 beads together. And I think I'm going to use these white with the AB stones. I think those are so bright and pretty. And I'm just going to feed both beads right on to my string. And then I can tie another knot, a double knot, at the very end on the other end of my cord, as close to the end as you can get it. And I did allow a little extra room in cutting this a little long, that way I've got some space. So now that we've got that, I'm going to bring the beads one on each end, and then I can tie a knot. And this time I want to bring the knot where it's all the way down touching the bead. So I'm going to slip my little die release tool here, or you can use a needle or any sort of narrow tool like that. So I can pull it all the way down to the bead, and I know it's where I want it before my knot tightens up on itself. And then it kind of holds our bead in place and keeps it from going back down the string. I'm going to do the same thing on this end. Just loop it. I'm going to get my tool in the loop so it doesn't tighten on me, and I can pull that down all the way to my bead. And then slip it out and tighten my knot. And there you have that, and they're on each end and they won't come toward the other end. They'll stay at the end dangling for you. And I'm just going to slide that up under there and tie it around. And my center kind of matches my rubber band there. And if you want, you can sort of tie it into a couple of knots just to take up some length of your cord and get those dangling where you want them to. I'm going to make this one a double knot just to take up a little bit of space. And I think that is so cute. And I can just trim up my ends. I'm just going to hold those like that. I'm going to trim that end super close to the knot. And then I'll just make sure to touch it up with a little bit of my Loctite, and it will not come undone. So there is our beaded clip. I think that is so cute. It's kind of falling through right now, but when you put that onto your journal or whatever it may be, you're going to be able to clip that inside on the pages, and that can hang on the front of your journal right like that. And that is so cute and decorative. I just love it. And again, I'm going to cut my ribbon ends with the little fishtail shape. And there we have our beaded one. I love that. And on this one, instead of the wide sheer ribbon, I'm going to just tie together a whole cluster of little strings here from my rainbow nylon cord. And I've got 12 strands here cut to varying lengths of anywhere between 5 to 5.5 inches. And I'm going to choose one of my clips, and I'm going to make sure I hold that with all of my strands separated there with my middle, and I'm going to work that through my end there. I want to make sure to keep my finger between there and get all of my ends through all of the loops. And you can start out with these a little bit longer if you want to, so you've got more room to work with it and be able to do that. But I'm stingy with my craft supplies, and I like to make them go as far as I possibly can. So I try not to start out with too much excess. And then I'm just going to pull on all of these kind of individually. Make sure that they all tighten up. Okay, and then when you're happy with that, go ahead and slide it off to the side. And put you some glue on there to hold that into place once you slide it back. And I think this is so cute with all those little rainbow colors. I'm going to give it a haircut. And I do mean haircut because I'm going to make that a wild little hairdo for a little googly-eyed character I'm going to make on there. And for this I'll be using my hot glue gun. And I've just got a little sparkly pom-pom here and a couple of googly eyes. I just really wanted to show you guys that it doesn't have to be that ribbon. You can really make any sort of decorative topper up here that you want. And to make my little character, all I'm going to do is just take my hot glue and put a couple of dots on here to attach him some googly eyes. And I think that is so stinking cute. I love that. So then I'm just going to hot glue him. I'm going to use a pretty big blob right there on my knot and just stick him into that little puddle of hot glue. And that's why I kind of did the loop through effect rather than the rubber bands, because I really wanted to use the hot glue. I didn't think the Loctite would hold very well to the pom-pom. And there's his little spiky rainbow hairdo. I think that is so cute. So cute. So that's just another idea for you. And I think I will do that again, actually. I think on the last one I had 12 strands. So we'll do about that many again. So I'm going to get those lined up as closely as I can. And I'm going to do the same thing, feed that through. Don't forget to slide it down. Apply a little bit of your Loctite glue. To help hold everything into place. And our ends are kind of uneven, but we can straighten those up. Like I said, that's why we start off with a little bit of extra length. And for this one, I'm just going to put a little dab of hot glue right in the center of that knot. And one of my little paper flowers that I painted with my alcohol markers. And I'm just going to stick that on there. And I've just kind of pulled from a few random embellishments that I had on hand already. And how cute is that, you guys? So I'm going to do one more for you guys. And I'm going to do it again with the sheer ribbon. So again, I'm going to loop through because I want to use my hot glue. Remember, that will melt your rubber bands. So this time I remembered and I started off with about 9-inch lengths of ribbon. That way I've got plenty of room to loop it through and have some nice length here left to work with, so I can cut that down and still have the length that I want. So I'm going to slide it off to the side, put some Loctite glue to make sure everything stays in position. And with these looped through knots, you can kind of even slip it down inside of there like that. And I'm going to trim up my ribbon ends. And on this one, I've just got a couple of sparkly embellishments. I've got a little sequin bow here. You guys have seen these before. And another little sparkly embellishment. So I can just take my hot glue, put a nice sized dollop in there so that it's enough to hold the larger embellishments. And I'm just going to go ahead and put that pink embellishment in the center of my bow, just to get more colors and rainbow going on. So these here were just a few extra ideas that I had for you guys. The pom-poms, googly eyes, the bows, and this, and the paper flowers didn't come from Beebeecraft, but I will see if I can find similar products on their website for these ideas. Mainly these right here were the ones that I used all the Beebeecraft's supplies for. I will have the links below for all of these products from Beebeecraft, including the paper clips, the butterflies, the ribbon, the cording, the beads, and just a general link to Beebeecraft's website so that you can go and explore and see what other ideas you can come up with to make some fun paper clips for your journals and planners. And I just had a blast with these. So go ahead and check that link in the description below for Beebeecraft and get your supplies and start making some fun embellishments for your planners. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already, and click the bell if you haven't done that so you'll get notifications. That way when I post some new videos with new ideas, you won't miss out on those. Give me a like over on my Facebook page, and be sure to join our Facebook group, Craftie Minds. And you can share all of your projects and all of your planner clips and everything with us over there in the group. It's really a lot of fun. Also follow me on Pinterest and Instagram, and don't forget to visit my blog. I'll have the links to everything in the description below, so be sure and check them out. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.